with the irregularities that have occurred and really are still being investigated from this past election, I would really like to take a little bit of a departure and focus in on voter fraud, government corruption, and the systemic charitable organization abuses that have really been occurring worldwide. Hi, this is Jeff with the HODL Report. Join me on today's video as we explore how blockchain can solve fraud, corruption, and abuse in the government and beyond. If you like today's video, please remember to give a thumbs up, leave some comments. I'm certain that today's topic will elicit some feedback. I just want you to know my intent here is not to be political, but really to get you to think on how the current blockchain and the technology that exists today could be implemented right now into a real world use case to solve some real world problems that exist. And I think we're seeing one of them. Now, what are some of the key benefits that blockchain solutions can provide? So we can look at transparency, a ledger that is there to maintain reliability and accuracy of data, data monitoring that can be automated and accuracy maintained while changes are actually able to be done in real time through the system of transparency and accurate data management, automated systems for the real-time updates. Individuals who are hired or elected will more easily be held accountable for their actions, whether those actions be good or bad. Now, cheating in a system like this through a blockchain should be minimized and will for sure be visible, being that it is a lot more transparent, and will also be able to achieve a more secure environment of data management. So this you'll have a fully secure data management solution to really provide the highest levels of data integrity. And that's one of the things that everybody is questioning right now is the data integrity of the voting system, whether it's the system itself or via human error or via human fraud that may be taking place. Now, with the recent election just a little bit over a week ago, it really has provided stark clarity to the reality of voting irregularities, the incompetence of those who are in charge of voting, and the antiquated system, and really the most problematic, which is the lack of real transparency throughout the voting process. The local counties are inadequately managing the voter registrations, leaving huge gaps for voter registration fraud and the potential for double voting and triple voting. What we're seeing also is the potential for non-residents and non-citizens of the United States voting in the election. Now, could blockchain or can blockchain or is blockchain really able to solve the many irregularities here? Can it streamline the process for based on a national standard with a national database that's updated in real time and that's transparent? Now, could voting be brought to the cell phone, or maybe an iris scan or a fingerprint scan, or at the very least automate the voter queue process and monitoring for one person, one vote with a real-time voter count and real-time outcome tracking? So as people vote, you'll get real up-to-date specifics on where each of the candidates stands in the election process based on the number of people voting. And it would really be up to the local government that's in charge of the voting, or it would be up to the national board overseeing voting on a national level to make a determination as to when that data should be released, and really having to maybe even vote on that. Would it be something that should be released in real time, or should it be staggered out? I like the transparency aspect and the real-time aspect myself. Now, this could also potentially do away with absentee ballots and the provisional ballots and all the issues that are related, because here you're going to have a real-time, living, breathing solution, a data solution that, again, is updated in real time and can be checked and counter-checked. So such a system could incorporate blockchain ID solutions to verify that the person voting is who they say they are. And there's really nothing wrong with having one vote for one person. Now, it's interesting because as we see all the chaos that's occurring, we see there was an article that just appeared. I'm sure it appeared in other sources, but Bitcoin Magazine reported, and this was just yesterday, November 13th, that last week Thailand was actually the very first to use blockchain to elect leaders of their Thailand Democrat Party. They utilized a live e-voting solution. There were 120,000 votes cast. The winner in this primary election of the Thailand Democrat Party won around 67,000 votes. It's interesting because this is happening now. They used voting stations that were using the Raspberry Pi solution, as well as a blockchain mobile app that allowed voters to upload their photo ID to verify that it was them and then vote. So they were using exactly what we're talking about. I think this is absolutely amazing that it's taking place right now, this month, a week ago, and the voting ran for about a week. It ended on this past Friday. Now, so there's really a lot to think about within how blockchain can change the way voting is done, whether it's in the United States or really anywhere in the world, to bring it to a point where, again, one person, one vote, but providing a clearly transparent form of voting. And I think that's very, very important. Now, let's take a sidestep and go to a slightly different topic. So I want to move from voting irregularities to charitable or government financial support to help relief efforts, creating health or relief efforts supporting the health or financial, let's call them pandemics, in lower income communities throughout the world. Now, this could be through a direct cause of government instability. You could have, fascist forms of governments that are causing this turmoil, that are impacting their population directly, like what we see happening in Venezuela, or what we've seen happen in Cuba, or what we see happening in so many other countries around the world, war-torn nations, or nations that have suffered due to natural disasters. So I'm thinking that here we have scenarios where right now we have these non-government organizations and we have government organizations that are transferring millions, if not billions of dollars in financial aid that is really unchecked. It's not being tracked efficiently. So we want to find a solution or have a solution to move these huge sums of financial aid from the funding source to the funding receiver, bypassing the corruption of the governments and the organizations along the way throughout this process. So again, through transparency of a ledger-based system, providing a solution for movement of financial transactions with clear proof of receipt by those who are in charge of the endeavor, but really taking this a step further and not simply dumping large sums of money into an open account and expecting the best, but utilizing the blockchain solutions to establish an environment where micropayments or even maybe potential web monetization solutions are available to move money in small fractions to really directly support the boots on the ground, those that are in direct need. So again, we want to have a fully trackable mechanism, but we also want the money to get to where it's needed most. Now, this could obviously be done on a larger macro scale or on the micro scale, really depending on what the initiative is. So the basis for this would really be to track the movement of funds through the ledger and being able to identify exactly when the money is moved. We want to know who it was moved to. We want to know exactly how the money was spent. We obviously want to know what it was spent on. We want to know who those goods were actually purchased from. And we want to also know where those goods are going to. I mean, this really is the ultimate in transparency within a supportive charitable network that really does not exist today. Now, you want to be able to cut down on the millions of dollars that are spent on the administrative needs just to manage the flow of donations. If you think about it, you know, it's probably in the millions. And if you look at the amount of money that the CEOs of these large organizations, the amount of money that they're paid to run these organizations, or all of the different government employees, and how much are they paid to be part of this process, to hand manage a process that can easily be automated. So we want to be able to decrease the potential for fraud and the theft of money, decrease the potential that these monies are actually then ill spent or maybe even hijacked by criminal or terrorist entities that are somehow connected to the government, or you might be in an environment where the government does not have full control over the environment. So now, in many cases, the money, the textiles, or the food that's donated by individuals or really provided by governments never really reaches the intended target. So instead, you have corrupt governments, warlords, or organizations that will actually take control of the incoming relief. They'll siphon off what they want, and typically it could be a large percentage or all of it. So that way only some or maybe even none actually gets to the people in need. And we saw this happen over and over and over again in places like North Korea, where food is transferred over and nothing gets to the population. So this is a big deal, and you need to have transparency of movement to know that if you're providing this type of support and it's not getting to the people, why would you want to continue providing that kind of support? And it's very, very important with the money flow to be able to track that money flow to make sure it's getting to the people and not being distributed again through the warlords or the terrorist entities or the criminal elements within the corrupt government. Now, blockchain is providing real-world solutions. Blockchain can provide a real-world solution, and it's really needed right now, and the technology seems to be available right now. It's really, again, a way around the ill intentions of individuals or organizations. Even the most well-intentioned organizations really have no oversight and end up becoming a tool for the ill-intended. So if you look at an organization like the United Nations or the IMF, I think these are perfect examples where billions of dollars are moved through these organizations, and there's really no oversight in the end as to what happens with the funds that are provided. Now, you can make an argument that there's some oversight, but you see it from country to country where the money is actually wasted, or the money or the textile is being utilized in a way that it is not intended for. As far as a generality, obviously some of it gets to the people, but overall, all it is handouts being provided, and there's really never a scenario of self-sufficiency being created to help the people. It's more of a handout, and it seems more of a monetary engine to keep people employed, and it becomes its own organization, its own corporation, again, of money flow and money movement. And this is all occurring. Why? Because there's really no transparency to know one way or the other what's going on. Now, I believe that blockchain can really be a major fix to, I don't know, let's call it a century-long problem of corruption and overall lack of oversight. This has been going on for quite a long time, but we can minimize it down into decades. But it's happening right now, and we need to resolve the problem now. So now we discussed transparency, a ledger to provide accurate real-time data, but how about the logistics to know what, when, how, and where the goods are moving? And how about the ID verification at a global level to know who on each end from the sender and the receiver of the goods and monies are actually involved in the transaction process? How about a solution that can provide full transparency with the movement of millions, if not billions of dollars, and providing the possibility of distribution of financial contributions through a form of micro payments? And I think focused in on the micro payments is a very important aspect. Now, imagine assisting these local communities, and I think this is really a huge departure from the current mindset, which is just handout, handout, handout. But these people, as a general rule in communities, people in general don't want to be on the receiving end all the time. They want to be in a position where they're given the tools to become self-sufficient. They don't want to have to continuously rely on the handouts of others. So how about assisting these local communities to set up what's needed to be able to share their stories with the world? They could do this through text blogs. They can do it through video blogs. But right now, within blockchain and within the digital asset solutions as a whole, there's ways for web monetization, and these are coming to the forefront right now. But through this web monetizations, you can create self-sufficiency within these communities, and they have a story to tell, and there's people on the other end that want to hear their stories. We don't want to hear them through the employees of these non-government organizations. I don't want to hear the IMF talk about it. I don't want to hear the United Nations talk about it and put a potential slant on the reality of what's happening on the ground. I want to hear the people that are going through this situation. Let's hear from them and see what's happening on the ground, and then be able to hear from all sides. You know, it'd be very, very enlightening to see those that are in need, and then you have the terrorist entities or the criminal entities that are, or the corrupt governments that are really suppressing that voice. And so, you know, that's taking it to a completely different level. And I'm not trying to politicize this in any way. I'm just thinking outside the box a little bit in terms of what blockchain overall could do to provide. Now we're talking about web monetization. So we take this story, and instead of the news putting their slant on it, again, web monetization. And so these impoverished communities, by telling and sharing their stories with the world, could potentially establish a mechanism for financial self-sustainability. And I think that that is an important aspect, to be able to teach these individuals in the community and provide the tools to allow these communities to thrive, help them get beyond the handout mentality. Solutions, again, that exist today, like YouTube, or we have the blockchain based, or it's the Interledger or the XRP ledger based solutions like Coil or the XRP tip bot, or you have the Brave browser that allows for the monetization. Systems where digital assets can really flow directly to the source. There's really no limitation or fiat currency obstacle. There's no obstacle with the lack of banks or the lack of financial organizations that are managing the flow of these currencies. And again, we're reaching out to impoverished communities that may, many of them are going to be within the unbanked category, but there's nothing that will really stop these individuals from taking control of their own outcome. Now, this is a direct impact, and this is really the reality of what blockchain can provide through the various digital assets through the web monetization. It's amazing that these initiatives that exist today and what can truly be accomplished. Now, one man who goes by the YouTube and I believe Twitter name King Blue had an initiative to raise money for St. Jude's. I believe he's raised around 20,000 XRP. Now, that's what one man has done on his own to establish that. Now, imagine what could be done on a global scale. If you enjoyed today's video, please give a thumbs up, leave some comments. Again, my intent here wasn't to create any form of political discussion. It's strictly on the possibilities through blockchain and digital assets of what could be accomplished. And so that is really the intent of today's discussion. On another note, if you're really concerned about your digital assets that you are holding or hodling, remember to get a Ledger Nano S. It's very, very important. You hear a lot of other YouTubers talking about it. There's a link in my description. Any of the commissions that come from the purchase of those, I am going to start doing contests, and I'm going to use that money that's coming in through that source. That's really the only source right now, and I'm going to take that and use that money for the competitions. Anyhow, that's it for now. Before I sign off, though, I just want to put out a reminder that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not providing any form of financial advice, but if I am going to give you any kind of advice, then let it be this: do your own research. Invest only what you can afford. Invest only what you can afford to lose, and don't buy or sell based on the FUD or FOMO that's spread online. And with that, I definitely look forward to seeing you on my next video, and keep on hodling your crypto.